Hey everybody, welcome to Sunday and welcome to a Buffalo Bills win. That's right. That's right. Are we going to the Super Bowl? Geez, I sure hope so. All right, so got that out of the way. I kept the jersey on. I got this for my birthday just before Christmas. My boys bought it for me. My son texted me before he went to bed last night and says, "You got to wear the jersey." And it worked. Not that I can take any credit for that. Okay, what's going on here? First of all, car cost, there it popped up there, carcostcanada.com. If you're looking for a new car, things are changing in the market. Inventories are starting to build. Cars are starting to become available. Used prices are starting to come down. All of this works in your favor if you're going to be buying a car in the next 6 to 8 months. I think as we go through the spring, we're going to start to see inventories building up, and carcostcanada.com is going to be your friend because you'll be able to look up exactly what the dealer paid for that car and then negotiate off of that. I think we're going to see people canceling their orders. They maybe ordered a car when interest rates were 2%. Now they have to buy the car and finance or lease the vehicle at 8, 9, 10%. A lot of people are going to walk away from those deals because the payments have just ballooned because of interest rates. So that's what's going to be happening. So make sure you use carcostcanada.com and the promo code Motormouth. That's when you become an expert member. Okay, that one is done. Don't forget, if you want to send a picture, it's Zach@motormouth.ca, ZACK@motormouth.ca, or ZACK@motormouth.ca. We'll get to the pictures in just a moment. What's coming up on the channel this week? On Tuesday, we have our CR-V hybrid versus the Kia Sportage or Sportage hybrid. That'll be a good one. A lot of interest in those two and a big difference in price between the Kia and the Honda. On Wednesday, the Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xE video comes out. Spoiler, really well done. Stellantis did a great job with the 4xE in the Grand Cherokee, better than I liked it in the Wrangler. And yeah, we're the first ones on the West Coast to get our hands on the all-new BMW X1. So in less than a week on Saturday is when we're going to have our X1 video out there. We're going to pick it up tomorrow. Okay, we have already a super chat. Here's Jerome. He's been lost for weeks and months. I don't know where he's been. Go Bills questions. How do you expect car makers to stay relevant with electrification since they'll all offer battery computers on wheels? Oh, how? Okay. So I guess the question is, if it's just batteries, software, and electric motors, how do you become relevant? Yeah, that's a really good question. Like, what makes a vehicle a certain brand? I can tell you in the case of Mercedes-Benz, for example, the electric vehicles that we've driven from them, the EQS models, they are going right back to their traditional luxury roots. So Mercedes-Benz is doing it with traditional luxury, utilizing all the power, the quiet cabin, and the smooth ride, and making it the ultimate sort of Mercedes-Benz experience. BMW, I think with some of their cars, like the i4, it's still about the driving, the ultimate driving machine. Their cars still handle particularly well. The one I'm interested in on the luxury side will be the Macan EV, to see if they can make it feel like a Porsche, accessible, and all of that. For mainline cars, I think it's really competitive out there when it comes to features and benefits. It's the ones that come with the best combination. I've said it many times. Electric cars are less about a passionate purchase experience. It's all about logic. It's really kind of like a spreadsheet analysis. And people, you look at charging times, how big is the battery, what's the range, what's the price, what's the rebate. It's all a bit of a calculation. So first of all, thank you, Jerome, for the very first super chat. So if you want to do a super chat, when you type in your question, there's a little $sign there. It's a small contribution to the channel, but it also helps flag it for me. Okay, we do have to do some pictures here. The first one comes from, this is from Peter. And the van is called Frito, like the Frito-Lay, the potato chip truck. It's an '04 Mercedes Sprinter. It's his daily driver since he bought it from Trucks Only in Arizona in 2008. Seen here near Canyonlands National Park. That's a great, by the way, all the shots are really good. Like, that's a really good photograph. So I think there's someone there with some real photography experience and some HDR as well. Okay, so that's a great shot. Next one is also a good shot. This is from Boston Ma, who gets in the chat box as well. This is a picture of 6 strings of Christmas lights, 150 feet long. I got a thumbs up and lots of comments from people on Cypress Mountain here in Vancouver. He's running on Michelin X Ice 3 tires. They're great in the snow and mounted on stock wheels. Another great shot with the festive lights. And is there one more? Oh yeah, this is another great shot. This is from James with his 21 Bronco Sport Badlands. He got it a year or so ago. He's already got 54,000 kilometers. It's been trouble free. It did burn through some Pirelli tires, but at 50,000 kilometers, that's not too bad with lots of trails. Great fuel efficiency, power, and is comfortable. This is a shot of the Annapolis Valley in Nova Scotia from my trip this summer. So the Annapolis Valley is famous for its orchards. And there you go. Beautiful part of the world. If you want to get a picture, don't forget zach@motormouth.ca. Okay, let's make sure we didn't miss any other super chats. So some good picks. I like the good picks. Okay, here's KPKP. What's your take on the XT5 Caddy? Will you review the Lyric Equinox EV when possible? Also, what's with the bashing of Cadillac? Got laughed at even mentioning Cadillac over Acura. Well, okay, we're going to dissect this. First, we'll do the Lyric and the Equinox. So, General Motors Canada, Cadillac has said that they're going to have a ride and drive opportunity this year. They had very limited spots for the one that happened near Salt Lake City. Unfortunately, we couldn't go because they only offered us one spot. And of course, as you know, it's the 2 of us. So we said we'll wait till we get the car. Plus, I'd also like to drive the all-wheel drive version because the Lyric sold now is just rear-wheel drive. Also, the same thing with the Equinox EV. We're waiting to see when the events are for that. The Cadillac versus Acura. Well, if you go to, not Consumer Reports, JD Power, and you look up at their dependability study. So this is vehicles that have been in the market for 3 years. So that's coming towards the end of warranty for mainline cars anyway. Cadillac is in the top 10, and Acura is well below the industry average, right near the bottom. So take that for what it is. Cadillac is, in terms of measurable dependability study, does way better than Acura. So the people that are asking you or talking about it, they just don't know. And that's what they do. They just keep repeating the same thing. Chevy doesn't know how to make a good car. Cadillac is a crappy car. When the question I always ask people is, when was the last time you ever drove a brand new General Motors car? And most people will go, I don't know. Look how many pickup trucks they sell. I mean, they're incredible. You know, if I was going to buy a full-size pickup, it probably would be a General Motors product. We have a super chat here from Paul. Appreciate that. Where am I going here? Thanks for your Stelvio review. I'm in the market for one, but am now considering the Macan. I buy my vehicles 1 to 2 years old and keep them for 8 years. Is one a better choice over the other? Well, I would suggest that probably the Macan, you're going to pay a hell of a lot more for it because Porsche just has amazing retained value and Alfa Romeo doesn't. So the thing is, you could look at the Alfa and buy one that's 2 years old and make sure it's got an extended warranty and drive it for quite a few years under warranty, but you're going to pay a whole lot less for it. If I was going to own, listen, all I can tell you is we asked people to write in their comments on the Alfa Romeo Stelvio video that we did during the week. And there, you can go and read them for yourself. Go back on the video and look at all the comments from people that either have a Giulia or a Stelvio. And these people are big fans. They love their Alphas, and a lot of them had no issues. So I know that's grandmother research, but it's something. Instead of buying a 2 or 3 year old Porsche, because it's going to be expensive, you could lease a new Stelvio, and then at the end of the 3 years decide whether you're going to keep it. I guarantee you that would probably still be cheaper than buying a Macan because they're just so sought after and expensive. That's something to consider. We have another super chat. They're stacking up here. I love it. Hey Zach, fully loaded X1 or 23 Sportage, drive less than 6,000 kilometers a year and mostly stop and go traffic. I'm leaning towards the BMW, keeping it for 8 to 10 years. Yeah, listen, the hybrid Kia Sportage is excellent. I think they did a great job on it. But you're comparing two totally different vehicles. One is a subcompact crossover that's, a load of fun to drive, has a powerful turbo 4-cylinder engine versus a Kia Sportage, which is a 1.6 liter turbo hybrid system. Now, granted, they're both really well done, but I can't really answer your question because we haven't driven the X1 yet. We pick it up tomorrow, so I'm excited to drive it. If you're driving such little amount throughout the year, fuel costs really aren't that big of a deal because you don't drive that much. But then on the other hand, having a hybrid is a hedge against fuel costs in the future. You're going to be saving money as you drive it because you're not buying premium gas. That's a big savings. You're using less gas. And the other thing is the Sportage or the Sportage is a bigger vehicle. So it's an interesting comparison, one that I wouldn't think of, but I can kind of see your logic here. That's a tough one. Check back with me next week once we've driven the X1. Excuse me. It's my T-Bird. Just replaced 2 front tires on the Prius with Toyota's recommended low resistance type, and then watched your Bolt review, and you recommended changing the tires to performance type. How is the EPA affected by this? Yes, well, you're going from a low rolling resistance tire to something that's stickier. I would say in the case of the Prius, I would probably just go with the low rolling resistance tire. The problem was with the Bolt, it's got so much torque that those front tires spin really easily and you get some torque steer. And Andrea noticed it quite a bit. I think with the Prius, you're fine with the low rolling resistance tires. It just doesn't have the power to brake the front wheels like the Bolt has quite a bit of torque. And that's the only reason why is that I just want to get better grip. I'm not sure how much it would affect the fuel economy, but it would. It would definitely affect your range. Billy Rock is saying, are you still sick? COVID test? No. My cough finally ended, but I do have what's called acid reflux, which makes me cough. So when I talk to you, I'm projecting more, I'm using more air, and that can spill some of the acid into my airways, and that's why I cough. Nothing serious. How much do EVs all-wheel drive dual motor compare to traditional all-wheel drives? Is there one you prefer given that you have plenty chance to test drive in snowy Vancouver nowadays? Well, we only had snow for a couple of weeks and we had, 2 cars to drive during that time. So you look at a vehicle like the Lexus UX that we drove in the snow. So that's got an electric motor and a gas engine at the front and then a small rear electric motor at the back. Same setup as the Prius with their all-wheel drive system. So there's nothing mechanically linking the front drive system with the rear drive system. So that is a small electric motor that's going to provide assist. And then there are other vehicles that have hybrids or plug-in hybrids that still have a mechanical linkage. Think of Hyundai and Kia. So the previously mentioned Kia Sportage or Sportage hybrid has the electric motor mounted there with the regular transmission. So the way they get all-wheel drive is they actually send the power to the rear wheels through a drive shaft in a conventional cogged 6-speed automatic transmission. No CVT, still mechanically connected. So that's going to give you more torque and more power to the rear wheels than, say, just a small E motor at the back. Same thing with the Jeep Grand Cherokee we just finished driving this week. The video will be out on Wednesday. That still has a conventional automatic and connected to the rear wheels with a drivetrain, of course, for all the Jeep capabilities for going off-road. But then you go to a full EV, and full EVs tend to already have the larger motor at the back. Not always. But for the most part, the majority have a large electric motor at the back and then a smaller electric motor at the front. And when you're in that situation, they don't need to be mechanically connected because both electric motors are much bigger. So with the electronics and the ability to control traction and stability control, they can help get the power down in snow. So it's really more the all-wheel drive is for hybrids and plug-ins, and that's one of the differences. Some still have a conventional automatic and are mechanically connected, and others are not. And the ones with the mechanical connection would tend to have more available torque to the rear wheels. Okay, here's Scott Newell, longtime contributor to the live show. Wife heard Andrea say, I've got to own a Mini in my lifetime. I said, girl, you and me both. Also, don't you guys refer to ZZ Top as ZZ Top? No, we don't refer to it as ZZ Top. It's because the name of the band is ZZ Top, right? So if it's a proper name, like, for example, a lot of Americans will call the transmission company ZF when it's actually pronounced ZF. So that's one. There are differences. We're not totally strict all the time, right? We do say Z, but the Z pops in there once in a while. Here's from Vez. Ordered Sienna last June and still waiting. Do you think the new Grand Highlander may be an option to consider? Will you be able to review it? I think February 8th is the official release date. Well, we have to find out what's going on with that vehicle, what it's going to cost and all of that. So I can't really tell you. I think if you've got a Sienna on order, the Sienna and the Highlander are rolling on the same platform, basically. And if you get the hybrid version of the Highlander, you're getting the same drivetrain, essentially, as you're getting in the Sienna. The Sienna definitely feels slower because it's big and heavy. The Highlander feels a little bit more nimble, but we'll have to wait until we get all the details on that higher-end version of the Highlander. The Highlander is en route and is going to be arriving here in Vancouver. We already have the Sequoia booked towards the end of the month, and we're waiting for a few other Toyotas to be coming into the fleet, but they're on their way. Here's KP again. Also looks like dealerships are feeling it now. Got a call from Cowell VW to see if I'm interested in the same Volkswagen Golf R that I was interested in, and now they want it at MSRP. Well, you're going to see a change in attitude. And I would hope that there's some karma in the world, that the dealers that had all those dick moves with pricing and gouging consumers with inflated market adjustments and so on, the karma comes back and bites them in the ass. I think the dealers that treat people well and are, sensible, they're going to be looking for buyers. I think this market is going to change quite quickly. We've started to see it turn. In the United States, used car wholesale prices have dropped dramatically. Canadian wholesale used car prices are dropping. Interest rates are really taking a bite out of used. One of the reasons why Tesla had to drop their price significantly. I think that one of the lessons here about Tesla is just how poorly managed their pricing is when it comes to having pricing that's sensible. I mean, they jacked the prices of their cars up over the last 2 years to ridiculously high numbers. And now they're having to discount them. That is absolutely crushing the people that bought those cars new and crushing the used valuations. When you drop the price of new by 20%, that crushes the used car market. And one of the reasons why Tesla is so susceptible to this is because Tesla buyers are some of the most leveraged in the industry. People stretch the most to buy a Tesla. I maybe could afford this, but I'm really going to stretch and take out a really long amortization on a Model 3 or a Model Y. And they really stretch to get into these products. And that's why Tesla's really feeling it, because with interest rates going up so high, the price of these cars is just not attainable for a lot of people who maybe could have stretched in the past. So when you don't have price discipline with your brand, you can really screw up, like really badly screw up residual values. And I think I was chatting with somebody on Facebook when this all dropped, And I said, Tesla's in trouble. Their share price is down. They have to drop their price of their vehicles by up to 20%. Is not the sign that the brand is as healthy as everybody thinks. And he said, oh, come on, what are you talking about? They sold 1.3 million vehicles last year. And I was thinking, yeah, they just pissed off 1.3 million buyers in the last year, bought their X's and Y's at elevated prices. Now you've just crushed them. All of those people, for the most part, are now upside down in their loans. Well done. And anybody who bought one of those used Teslas that were going for crazy prices through the last, 24 months, they're getting crushed on these as well. So you've pissed off all the people that bought used, and you've pissed off 1.3 million people in the last year who now overnight, with a stroke of a pen, have lost 20% roughly value of their vehicle. I don't know. That's not price discipline. Brands that have good price discipline and are able to maintain, relative price competitiveness, and they put their prices up incrementally, not a lot, like Tesla did, they're not going to be suffering as badly. Anyway, it's going to be interesting to see. But it's going to be interesting because, to your point, dealers are going to start getting cars coming in. They're going to be calling the people that ordered them 12 months before and saying, oh, by the way, your $40,000-$50,000 cars in now. Yeah, when you ordered it, it was going to be $600-$700 a month. Now it's $800-$900 a month. And they're going to go, yeah, you know what? I'll just keep driving the car I've got. We'll see. Going to be interesting to watch. Okay. All right. Didn't miss any there. That's good. Off we go. Here's, are you going to be doing the Highlander? I'm not sure what the trim is of the Highlander, but one is on its way. Hey, Zach from Montreal, Quebec. Plans on getting your hands on a Crosstrek PHEV. We won't get a PHEV here in Vancouver. The PHEV is only sold in the province of Quebec, so I don't think we're going to get plans on it. Can you make a video of the 23 Audi A7 Sportback? I'll see if we can get one. 23 Highlander or Pilot or Pathfinder. Still waiting to drive the Highlander with the new turbo 4-cylinder. So once we get the Highlander and we're waiting on the Pilot, then we're going to do our top 5, mid-size 3-row SUV video. That will be coming out as soon as we get a chance to drive those. Tesla pushes prices of their vehicles down. How long until we see that pressure on the rest of the used market show? Well, as I said, it all comes down to price, competitiveness, and price discipline. You have to be disciplined with how you price your vehicles. And you have to price them right to start with and have some incremental changes. We are not going to see huge discounts by other brands. Like, you're just not going to see the legacy car brands drop their prices by 20%. Tesla has done that, but they have a special niche in the marketplace. Other electric offerings are going to have to be adjusted, but the electric car market isn't the bulk of the market. I know as much as people believe that it is, it isn't. So you're going to see some adjustments from other electric offerings, but we'll have to wait and see. Hugo, what's your opinion? Better buy for the long term, 350h or Highlander Platinum? Is there a big difference in driving? Well, yeah, the 350 is smaller and it has the larger Lexus RX electric drive. So you get a more dynamic acceleration. Now, they're both running through continuously variable transmissions, but the Lexus definitely has more snap. It's a smaller product, bigger electric motor, more fun to drive. But it all comes down to what you want. Do you need the 3-row? If you need the 3-row, then you're going to get the Highlander. If you don't need the 3-row, get the NX. It really comes down to what you need. Aren't you Canadian? I guess you're talking about my jersey. Yeah, well, the thing is, we don't have NFL in Canada. We have the Canadian Football League. So here in British Columbia, you have the BC Lions. And our quarterback from last year, Nathan Rourke, just signed with the Jaguars in the NFL as a backup quarterback for next season. So that's exciting from him. He was amazing in the CFL this year. Fantastic quarterback. Had all kinds of records. And that was, I think, was his second year. He's a young guy. Great guy. And he's Canadian kid from Oakville, Ontario. So keep an eye out for Nathan Rourke. Just signed with the Jaguars. And he'll be in the NFL for the next season, but as a backup. And we might see him play a little bit. But in Canada, we have no NFL teams. So in the winter, we cheer for typically the closest city. Some people are different. I grew up in Toronto. The closest city was Buffalo Bills. The closest city to Vancouver is Seattle. A lot of Seahawks fans. My son next door, they lost yesterday. But it was very exciting here in Vancouver when the Seahawks went to the Super Bowl and won. Then they went the next time and threw the pick and lost. But we're all hoping Buffalo makes it this year. How would you compare the interior of the current GTI versus the previous? Does the new one feel cheaper and more hard plastic? And would you still consider it to be Audi Light? Yeah, so the new interior of the latest Golf is more plastic fantastic. It has the dual panel screens with the touch sensitive controls for the radio and the heat and all that kind of stuff. I don't like it. I like the previous interior. You can have your cake and eat it too, and I'll tell you how you do it. You just get it with a trunk. It's called the Jetta GLI. The Jetta GLI is the previous generation Golf engine drivetrain, so 228 horsepower, and it comes with, in the Canadian market anyway, just one trim, fantastic value, and it has the traditional previous gen GTI dashboard. So you can have your cake and eat it too. You can have a new car, you just get it with a trunk. I prefer the interior of the old GTI, but you know, I do appreciate more power. It's got more power. I think it's 241 now versus 228. The GTI is a great package, and you can get around the swipe sensitive thing for the radio on the base model only. The base model only gets a smaller radio with traditional twiddly knobs for the volume and the tuning. When you get the bigger screen on the higher end trims, then you go to the full screen with the swipey thing. So if I was buying a GTI, I would get the base model with the sunroof and larger wheel package. In the Canadian market, it's about $1,200. It's a screaming good deal. But if you want the old interior, get the GLI, which is an even better deal. The pricing on the GLI is one price only, pretty much fully loaded. Here's Raj. Finally made it for the live show. Nice to see you, brother. Been a while. It's about time Tesla got back to their senses, and I hope they keep their promise of making the Model 3 under $40,000. No, the Model 3 isn't going to be under 40. I'm not sure if it's what the price is in the United States. But, you know, we keep hearing about the phantom, you know, inexpensive Tesla. You know, Elon Musk even said last year they're not working on that right now. They're still going to get this ugly Cybertruck out and their Semi and all that kind of, that's what they're working on. But one of the things about, you know, dropping the price by up to 20, in some instances, depending on the trim, it was up to 24% price reduction overnight like that. So that doesn't build a lot of trust in the brand going forward. For example, if we got into a situation where the price is starting to go up again, are there going to be people that say, well, I'm not going to buy one of these because Elon Musk could just decide to drop the price by 20% overnight? And then whoever bought the car is out of luck. There was all kinds of protests in China. They did this a couple of weeks in advance of what they did in the rest of the world. And there's a lot of people who are pissed off. They bought their Model Y and Model 3, you know, 2, 3, 6, 8, 9 weeks ago. And now their car overnight is worth about 20% less. So it's not good karma, I tell you that. Here's Eric saying, go Bills on Honda as much as we want for pricing. I see new Civics and HRVs all over the place here in Montreal. Their brand loyalty definitely helps mitigate the price increases. Yes, so we've been going on about the HRV and the CRV being, you know, much more expensive than the competition. And we said in the video, there will be people that just buy them because it's a Honda and they've always bought a Honda. I suspect it's going to break down from my demographic, which is Gen X and older, so Gen X and baby boomers who have more money because we're older, you know, we'll just go and buy a Honda because who gives a crap? I got the money. I just want a Honda. I've always bought a Honda. It costs more, whatever. I want it. Younger people, millennials, and new first-time car buyers, when they start shopping, they're like, I got to buy a car. First of all, most millennials, not the ones that are watching this, because if you're watching this, you're into cars. But most millennials, they look at buying a car as a grudge purchase. It's like they meet the girl down the street, they get married, they have a kid, they move out to the suburbs, and now they got to buy their first new car. And what do you do when you buy your first new car? You look at how much car can I get for the price. And when you start shopping like that, it ain't Honda. So what I would say, Eric, is next time you're out and you're seeing all those HRVs and CRVs, I bet you that most of the buyers are, you know, crusty and old like me. I really want to buy a Mazda CX-5. Is there anything I need to know, such as reliability? It has proven to be a very good product. So there's two offerings. There's a 2.5 liter engine, which is a 4-cylinder, and then there's the 2.5 liter turbo. The hard reality is the turbo is not necessary. You can get by with the 2.5 liter. The car has a very sporty feel, slightly heavy steering, slightly firm seats, and not the softest ride. It's more of a sporty kind of car for feedback. But that's great for people who like that. It's not the biggest in its class, and it's proven to be a very reliable vehicle. I got no problem recommending the CX-5. Andrea, one of her favorites is the CX-5. She likes it more than I do. But yeah, there's absolutely no reason. Danny with the Bills jersey. Aren't you closer to Seattle? No, I grew up in Toronto, man. That's my team. Can you travel to the Congo and make a video of child slavery in cobalt mines? Thanks. You asked that last week. And no, I'm not going to the Congo and making a video on Congo mines. There's lots of people who have done that. That's not what we do. Did you see the 24 Nissan GTR unveiling? What a letdown. Yeah, basically they did an aero kit on it. GTR is interesting. When the GTR first came out, I didn't like it. It was very dull, son of a soulless drive. It was fast. Of course it's fast. It's got amazing handling and steering, but it was just a very disconnected. It's almost like driving in a simulator. It didn't have any visceral feel to it. And then about 2.5 years ago, we got a GTR again, and they've tweaked it over the years, and now it has more feedback, and it's more fun to drive. But I almost look at the GTR as a high-end sport cruiser, because it's not really a sports car. It's quite big. It's like the Japanese Mustang GT. It's kind of how it feels, but a wonderful car to drive. But yeah, a lackluster effort in the redo. Shouldn't you be rooting for the Seahawks? No. It's Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills. Oh, you got a couple of. I didn't realize we had a couple of Canadians on the team. Here's Bruce. So if we speed up a few years from now, I drive out of town to my in-laws. I charge my EV for hours. How do I pay them? Is there some kind of meter to know what I used? I would say, Bruce, if your in-laws are charging you for electricity, bring an extra bottle of wine. Bring a nice pie. Bring some flowers. I don't think that's going to bust their bank account. So they're going to do it because they love you. There's a lot of love for the son-in-law. So bring a nice bottle of wine and say, I'm going to plug my car in. Here's a nice bottle of wine. And don't be cheap. Buy them a good bottle of wine. And say, and you're not going to drink it before you drive home, but you say, next time you have a nice meal, a steak, a bowl of pasta, here's a good, really nice Chianti. Spend some money. Bring them some flowers. You're good to go. Mercedes-Benz GLB AMG or Mini Countryman JLC, which is more fun? They're both fantastic. I loved both of these products. They're excellent. I would say the GLB is a little bit bigger. If you watch the video we did of the GLB AMG, actually reference that it reminds me of a bigger version of the Countryman that John Cooper Works. The John Cooper Works definitely is fantastic. Now, I have driven them both, but they is separated by time. I I love the GLB. I just think it's a great product. I think that the John Cooper Works is special as well. You know what? I say go and kick some tires and get in and out of them and see which one you like, see which one is the better deal. I'm not sure the pricing off the top of my head. They're both expensive considering they're a Mini and an entry-level Mercedes-Benz. I would give the interior definitely to Mercedes with their MBUX dual screen system. I would probably give them the advantage for seats. Yeah, they're both excellent. Those are two very close competitors. The thing is, I think you're just going to get more space also in the GLB. Here's Jerome again. Prices are going through the roof while sales are going down. Do you expect car makers to ground back themselves on planet Earth and they reasonably offer products again? Well, you're going to start to see inventories picking up. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, but we're starting to see the tide turn. These interest rates are really, I talked to Andrea about this. With interest rates really started to pick up in the summer, right? Big increases. And then we got into the fall, and then we got into the holiday season, and people are like, hell with it. We're just going to get through Christmas. We're going to do our shopping. And I think now that it's the new year, there's going to be a lot of people really digging in with their finances and really thinking about 2023 as a year to retrench themselves and make sure that they're spending their money on the right things. And I think some, want car purchases from a year or so ago are now need car purchases. So this is the car we wanted, but this is the car we need to buy because it's less expensive. And that's one of the great things about a brand that has a large portfolio. I'll use Volkswagen as an example because I talked about it in a video with Andrew. I can't remember what the car was. But the thing about having a broad portfolio, like Volkswagen, for example. So you have the ID.4 electric car. Well, that might not be for you. Then you can get the Tiguan. The Tiguan is, they're selling them at, I think, over 8% interest. Okay, when you factor in the interest rate for that Tiguan, we can't make that payment. And then you go, okay, now I can look at the Taos. It's actually roomy. It's got a turbo 1.5 liter. It's got a dual clutch. It handles great. It's really it's the biggest in its class. And you know what, hun? I think we'll save some money. We won't get the Tiguan. We'll buy the Taos. And we'll get the middle trim. And we're going to save ourselves on the purchase price $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. Then that difference in the interest rate makes, it keeps the payments down. So that's what I think you're going to start to see as people come in. It's the versus what they wanted a year or so ago and interest rates were 2% versus what they need now where interest rates are 8%. And you're starting to see incentives creeping in. So not the kind like Tesla dropping the price by 20%, but I'm starting to see, and I've talked about this over the last few weeks, the one you're going to see right away, and we've already seen it with some advertising. I saw it with Ford. I've seen it with Jeep. I've seen it with Alfa Romeo. Is they're offering a lock-in price, order the vehicle, and you can get your interest at 4.99%, 5%. So the average, I just read this before we came to air, the average price of the cost of money for a new car in the United States is about 8 to 9%. The average cost for a used car in the United States is 13%. That's a big chunk out of your pocketbook every month. So things are going to slow down. I think now that we're into 2023, we're going to start to see inventories pick up. What the legacy manufacturers have is they have some levers to pull. They don't need to drop the price. They'll offer, first of all, reduced interest rates. Then they might offer a rebate, which isn't reducing the price. They're just offering a few thousand off or maybe some other incentives to get you to buy. But because they have most big brands have a wide portfolio, like I can't afford a RAV4, okay, I'll get a Corolla Cross. Okay, that's what's going to happen. Some super chats here. Old Dog. I have a family member that does auto body. He says Teslas are the worst to work on because they use old discontinued parts from other manufacturers. So yes, I think those were the original Teslas, like the Model S's and things, had quite a few pieces from Mercedes-Benz. Like the key fob was a Mercedes-Benz key fob, turn signals and things like that. I'm not sure if that's the case any longer, but yeah, they used to have They used to have Mercedes-Benz components that they actually were allowed to use for many years. I haven't been in a Model S in a long time because it doesn't sell either. They don't sell very many Model S, and they don't sell many Model X anymore. It's all X and Y. No, 3 and Y. Okay, where were we again? Kia dealer is charging $6,000 plus here in Florida. We have to keep waiting to afford a hybrid Sportage. Yes, I think that time is on your hands. The one thing about the mentality of having a car that you want to replace, the car you own is the cheapest car that you have. Buying a new car is going to cost you more money. So yes, you might have an older car that's not efficient, but the cost to put extra fuel in it is a lot less than paying the tax on a new one, the increased price on a new one, and the services and fees and the delivery and the taxes and everything else that come into play with a new car. So yes, you're going to have a new car under warranty and it's going to be more efficient, but the car you drive is typically the cheapest car that you have, right? Getting a new car, as I always say, is an expensive way to save a few bucks on gas. But if your car's clapped out and it just isn't able to go anymore, well, then you got to get something. But if your car is fine and you could drive it for another 6-8 months, trust me, 6-8 months from now, things are going to be very different. And I bet you those $6,000 markups will not be there any longer. Here's Nick again. Summer car choice, Boxster 718 or Audi TT Roadster. Well, that's easy. The Porsche all day long. I'm never a fan of the TT. I just never liked that car. I always used to say, why are you buying this? Just get a Boxster. You know, you got all that Porsche-ness in there. Hey, Zach, would you compare Alfa Romeo Stelvio Estrama and Porsche Macan? Greetings from Lima, Peru. They're both excellent products. I think that the Alfa Romeo has more power. We know that. It's got, I think, 20 or 25 horsepower more. It's got 8-speed ZF transmission. And I believe the Macan is still, or is the Macan a dual clutch? I'm trying to remember. But anyway, the Alfa's got a great transmission. The transmission works really well. That's a bulletproof transmission. The engine is powerful. It sounds great. The Alfa Romeo has sharper handling. And I think that the calibration of the Alfa suspension is actually better. It's a slightly bigger vehicle. You've got a little bit more legroom in the back and a little bit more cargo space, but and it's cheaper. And I guarantee you, the prices that they're quoting for Alfa Romeos, you're going to be able to get one cheaper. In fact, they probably have some old stock you'd be able to get at 22 at a discount. Now, that's all great, but in 5 years from now, the Porsche will always be worth more. So even though I love the Alfa, I love driving it, it's a sharper handling car, it's got more power, when you factor in, dollars out, the Porsche is always going to be the better buy. If that's not your motivating factor, say you lease a car and you run it through your business and you just need a new car every 3 years, I would definitely get an Alfa and have some fun with it. Here's Billy Rock saying, cars should never be an emotional purchase, always logical decision. Well, I couldn't disagree with you more. I think more people are swayed emotionally about cars. That's what car companies feed off of you driving down the road with the wind in your hair. It's like the whole business is built on emotion. And that's our job, is to inject some logic into the purchase. But I don't want to ever buy cars based purely on logic. I got to love what I have, and I got to love what I want. Here's Danny. Are your reviews of VinFast cars influenced by the trip they provided you in any way? No, we haven't reviewed really the cars yet. We said in all of the videos that we've done, so we had like a 15 or 20 minute drive with the VF8. It was a first look. Here's the car. Here's our first impressions of it. It's not a definitive review. The review will come when we get the car here for a week. We just did 3 videos from CES on the VF6, the VF7, and the VF9. And they were just walk around, show and tell. This is what you get. And these are our impressions of the cars that are in front of us. So I'm not going to pass judgment on any of their products until we get a car here to drive and we can have it for a week and we can try it out and we can see a finished production model, because I've yet to see a finished production model of a VinFast car. So the videos that we did, yes, they took a lot of people to Vietnam, and I think that this is going to be this might go down as one of the biggest marketing blunders of a new car company that has ever happened. So they took journalists like myself and Andrea and other people from media outlets like Auto Trader and Wheels and the Globe and Mail and a lot of U.S. outlets, traditional auto reviewers for substantial outlets. But then what they did was they mixed in these influencers. And the thing is, they paid those influencers. And the word got out that people were actually paid to go. We didn't know that until we got there. And we're hanging out, having a drink, and they're like, oh, yeah, all these people here, doing all their pictures all the time. Well, they were all paid to be here. And we're like, huh? We're just here to cover what we're seeing. Now, that story on Jalopnik about VinFast and how they paid influencers to go, and this is why it's going to go down as a case study as one of the worst examples of how to launch a car company. Yes, it was kind of fun to go to Vietnam and to see VinFast and the Vin Group and everything that goes in behind it and get a first chance to drive the cars. But they have now tainted what we do with these influencers. Every single time that we do anything about VinFast, everybody says it's bought and paid for. You were paid $10,000. Everything you say is because they paid you. We didn't get a nickel from VinFast. We went on a media launch, which we do all the time, and we covered what we saw, not the finished product. We made that perfectly clear. These are prototype cars. But the fact that VinFast took all these influencers and paid them and mixed them in with regular journalists like ourselves, huge mistake. So what I would have done is I would have taken a bunch of journalists over, and if they want to take a separate trip just for influencers, have at it. But we all got lumped in with them, and every time you see a report on a VinFast product, everybody now thinks it's been bought and paid for, which isn't the case, because I was there. I know the people that went. So there you go. I think it was a major marketing blunder. And they're going to have to live with that decision. Come on in, Jack.
Henderson just did the one hand in the shootout for the win.
Oh, they finally won on the road. The Canucks won.
Carolina, too. Look at this.
Oh, nice.
Nasty. And the Giants just won, too.
And the Giants won.
Giants beat the Vikings.
Oh, the Vikings are out. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Jack. We're talking about the Vancouver Canucks hockey. So we finally won on the road. We lost 4 on the road and we won 1. By the way, your Vietnam track ain't on the world map. Oh, haven't we done that? We haven't done that. I'll put that up for next week. Yeah, you're right. Thanks for the super chat to point that out. If I can find one, let me see if I can find one. Excuse the mess on my desk. Don't look. Don't look. I think I have some of those pins here. Where are they? I don't know where they are. Don't look at the mess. Don't look at the mess. Nothing to see here. There you go. You can't see it now. I'll have to find one. But you're right. I didn't put Vietnam on there. And it's been months. All right. Let's see who's on here. 410. Nice. We have 93 thumbs up. 3 thumbs down. That's okay. I got big shoulders. I got Josh Allen shoulders today. I can take it. If you guys could smash the thumbs up button, that would be fantastic. Find out where I was. Here's where we left off. Charging over MSRP isn't illegal in Canada. As long as you advertise, you can ask whatever you want. S stands for suggested MSRP. That is true. Got some clarification from the different dealer regulatory outlets. And if they advertise it, you'll see that it says dealer price. It doesn't say manufacturer's price, dealer price. If they don't have that price, then they're not allowed to do it. But that's what they're doing. Baby boy Michael Jackson, I'm guessing. Where can I send questions? You just did. You just sent a question. Your question was, where do you send a question? So you have successfully answered your own question. Have you seen any 2023 Accords? Not yet. Hey, Zach, what do you think of the Lincoln Corsair Reserve model? We didn't drive the Reserve, I don't believe. But anyway, there's a video on the channel of the Lincoln Corsair, but it was the PHEV. So I like the Corsair. Of the Lincolns, that's my favorite. It's the one that drives, that's the most responsive one. I find a lot of the other Lincolns, especially when you get them with air suspension, it's too soft for my taste. If you like that really floaty, boaty, soft, disconnected feel, Lincoln is the way to go because theirs are very, very soft. But there is a video of the PHEV, and there's one that I did on my own from several years ago. Oh, there he is. He's got a question. I really like Kia Sportage. Do you think it will perform after a couple of years of using it? Of course it will. A couple of years. Hopefully they build them to last longer than a couple of years. People are actually paying $1,000 a month to drive a car? That's insanity. No, that's common. People spending over $1,000 a month to drive a prestige car, like BMWs and Mercedes and Audis. And in Canada, in this market, it's 80% of people who buy luxury cars lease them, and their lease payments are, I would suspect, for a lot of them, well over $1,000. But it all comes down to how much money you have. If you have a higher income and more disposable money, $1,000 a month might not be a big deal. For somebody, it might be a huge deal, and then those cars aren't for you. Those dealers asking for markups like the one in Southern California, 20,000 markup on an RX 500, is one place to avoid. Too greedy and shows the type of dealership. I totally agree. I think karma is going to be a bitch for some of these dealers as the market slows down, and it is going to slow down. I think people who are sensible with their pricing hopefully will be rewarded. Hey, Zach, any news on the Corolla Cross Hybrid? At the end of March is when you're going to start to see them coming. Why do car brands hide their parent company origins? Like Volvo is still advertising being Scandinavian and Land Rover being British, but owned by Tata Motors from India. Well, that's not exactly true. Sweden is still where the cars are designed and engineered for the most part, and Land Rover is still designed and engineered in the UK. So yes, where the parent company is irrelevant. It's where the cars are kind of designed and engineered. And Volvo is still a Swedish company. A parent company is Geely in China, and they do share components with the Polestar brand. And a lot of the cars' components are made in China, but the heavy lifting and the design and all that does still come from Sweden. And Land Rover is a British brand for sure. It's just owned by a parent company. Why does that one already did that one? With their new Model Y pricing, is it worth considering over the Ioniq 5 or the Polestar 2? I don't know. It depends on where you are. With the Canadian pricing, is what I'm most familiar with. The Model Y is still a $70,000 car, so it's expensive. So you're going to get an Ioniq 5 or a Polestar 2 for less. So, and I'm sure it's the same thing in the United States. The one that's intriguing is the single motor Model 3 that now qualifies for the rebate in Canada. So it's going to be interesting to see if there's any adjustments from other brands when it comes to electrification. But Tesla is still king when it comes to volume, and this will gin sales for sure. It'll work, but it'll piss a lot of people off too. But anybody who's been sitting on the fence of getting a Model 3 or a Model Y, now obviously with the tax credit in the United States, that's the time to buy. And now you get the tax credit, or you get the rebate in Canada on that base model car. Ryan, nothing better than driving long distances in a minivan. Absolutely true. I'm curious, here's Jerome again. I'm curious to have your take on overcomplicated in cars nowadays. For example, Volvo putting dimming lights and a cluster in the fourth page of the menu instead of just having a physical button. Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned Volvo because there was a Scandinavian study that came out talking about controls that are in screens versus physical controls. And the study that they did showed quite clearly that physical controls are still safer instead of having to go into screens. It just makes sense. I like quick keys for the things I use all the time. I'm okay with going into the screens for things I don't use very often, but for the stuff I use all the time, I want to have it as a quick key. For example, here's one example. The Grand Cherokee we just took back today. The lane keep assist, which I loathe on most cars because it's too much of a nanny. There's a button right on top of the radio. I just hit that button and it turns off the lane keep assist. Zach is happy. I didn't have to dig for it. It's one button and I'm done. Any news on an Acura EV? Looking forward to see more information on it soon. Well, it has been announced that Honda is partnered with General Motors using the Ultium platform to produce the Prologue. Okay, so the Prologue is going to be coming in the 2024 year, probably going to be announced at the end of this year for sale as 2024. So that is, think of the Equinox, got there eventually, the Equinox EV platform used to make a Honda. That's good. They share the cost of the batteries, the development, and for the interior and all of that, it's done by Honda. GM does theirs. And then you take that and then you roll it into an Acura. So you're going to see the same platform used for an Acura product. I believe it has been talked about off the top of my head. I think it has. But yeah, there will be an Acura version for sure. So 2024 is when the Honda's coming. And then an Acura, and then also at CES, they showed the, excuse me, I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me, the joint venture with Sony and Honda. So that's going to be interesting to watch. It was just a concept, but there's definitely a joint venture with Sony. Same thing, to share costs, right? There's nothing like a good sneeze. I bought a CX-50 a few months ago and a lot based on your review. I hope it's good. I hope you like it. Stelvio would drop 60% in 48 months. You know what? Might be true. Maybe get one that's a year old. What do you think the next gen 4Runner will have for a powertrain? I'm guessing, and this is when when I saw the Lexus RX hybrid, the high performance one, the 500h, so they announced the turbo 4-cylinder with the hybrid system and a 6-speed automatic transmission, and then their e-axle at the back. I thought to myself, okay, that is going to be used for a bunch of different products. Because it has a conventional 6-speed automatic transmission, it can be used for vehicles that need to have things like, say, a reduction gear, or maybe all-wheel drive off-roading prowess. So my guess, I don't know, is that you're going to see something similar to that used in a body-on-frame truck. So the Tacoma or for the 4Runner. That would be my guess. That's all I can say. That's just my speculation. There's lots of people that do speculation on these things. As soon as I saw that RX, I thought, okay, 6-speed automatic, that can now be used in vehicles that are not unibodies. Do you feel the 2023 Prius had quieter interior than current Prius? NVH is a big factor for me now. Thank you. You still had that sound. If you've been in a Prius, you know that sound. It's still there. What I was most impressed with the Prius is how good it is on the highway now. Like, I would never put good highway cruiser and Prius ever in the same sentence. Now that's not an issue. So it feels very planted and it's really good on the highway. So I have no issue with it. I would have to drive them back to back to see which one's louder. But that droning sound you hear from the engine whenever you're in a Prius, it's still there. How are you, Zach? I'm doing well. Happy Sunday to you and Andrea. Thank you, Harpreet. Nice to see you here. Most hype overrated sports car in 2022. Most hype overrated sports car in 2022. Well, I didn't love the new Nissan Z or the new Nissan Z. I liked it, but I didn't love it. Andrea liked it. I thought that one was... I just didn't... I didn't get out of it and go, ooh, I'd love to have one of these. And I like sports cars. Most improved car for me of 2022 was a sports car, and that was the Toyota 86 or the BRZ or the BRZ. The small Subaru-derived sports car is fantastic. Man, they absolutely nailed it with that car. Just way easier to live with now. It's actually got some torque. It's a load of fun with the manual transmission. So that's most improved. Most disappointing? I don't know. Overhyped. Yeah, maybe the Nissan. Hey Zach, does Toyota's 5,000 price increase across the board change your opinion of the RAV4 LE and the hybrid best value? There hasn't been a $5,000 price increase across the board. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I'm going to do this right now. I'm on my computer. I'm going to go on here. Let me just see something. And I am going to go to Toyota. I don't believe it's $5,000. I think what you might be seeing is that there are new rules for SUVs and minivans. Here we go. Corolla. Gotta find here. Oops. So there are new rules when it comes to advertising that have come into place for vehicles in Canada. And they have to now advertise the vehicle with all of the fees included. Okay, so if you have a vehicle that's $30,000, now you have, this was the case in Quebec, it was always the case in Quebec. You have to advertise it including the freight and delivery, the PDI, all the fees have to be included in that. So I'm just going to go up here, and I'm going to go vehicles, and I'm going to find it if it kills me. Crown Camry. RAV4. All right, here we go. Let's get to the bottom of this. We're doing a live search here. 2023. All right, so the hybrid XLE, for example, was $36,000 before, and now it is, continue. Yeah, so they put the price up. Okay, what you're seeing now is the all-in price, okay? So that's what's changed. So now they have to include the freight and the delivery and all that kind of stuff. So I'll just go to summary and see what it is. Okay. Where's the summary? It gives you the all-in price. And that's what you're getting. So the price hasn't gone up by that much, but all the fees are included. Okay, so I think the price of the RAV4 has gone up around $1,500. Make sense? Okay. Okay. Really liking your online shopping options. Really liking your online shopping options. Clutch Canada Drives. Well, Canada Drives is no longer sponsoring the channel. I'm going to be curious to see how they do with the change in the marketplace with people buying vehicles at much higher prices because of interest rates. So I'm curious to see how they square that one. But anyway, we'll watch. It's always fun to watch these things. All right, 431 on now. We have 197 thumbs up. While I have you here, just a reminder that the CRV hybrid and the Kia Sportage hybrid comparison will be out on Tuesday. On Wednesday is the Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xe. I really liked it. They did a great job on that. And then on Saturday, less than a week from now, is the BMW X1. We picked that up tomorrow, so I can't wait to drive it. We're going to turn that video around. There you go. So hopefully you enjoyed the live show today. If you could give it a thumbs up before we're gone here. We're at 204 people on. If we could get it up to 250, you guys can do it. Smash the thumbs up. That would be great. I know you're all cheering for the Bills to make it to the Super Bowl. I know you are. That would be good. Maybe I've got thumbs down because I have my Bills shirt on. I hope not. Okay, 208 thumbs up now. We can get it to 250. That would be great. All right. So, yeah, I thought I'd get more questions about Tesla, to be honest with you. I'm really surprised. And the other thing is I didn't really see, it's quite interesting, much in the way of, mainstream media outlets covering it. To have a vehicle company drop their prices by over, in some cases, 20% is a huge deal. Even on the financial CNBC website that I read every morning, there really wasn't anything about it. The share price has gone down. Volume definitely will go up. They're not going to be making as much profit per unit. And I think its interest rates are really taking a bite out of their... we went by, where were we? We went by and we saw a Tesla repair center here in Vancouver. A huge number of cars sitting there. So there you go. All right, we're at 239. We just have 11 more to go. We'll get to 250. You guys can do it. 240 now. 10 more to go. Smash the thumbs up. Come on, don't be shy. Just want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Here's Cynthia. New sub here. I love the live streams. Awesome. Go Bills. That does not sound right. You just said it. You just said go Bills. See? See what you did there? You played yourself. 247. 3 more to go. Mr. Chuckles. Porsche should be sponsoring you. You always give them great press. Yeah, they make great products. We've had 5. We have 2 of them now. They make great products. We like Porsche. We're biased. Everybody says you're biased. You love Porsche. It's like, yeah. We buy them with our own money. We like them. They're good. They're good. All right, we're all done. We got it to 257, so thank you to you guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We'll see you back here next week. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Bye now.